You're listening to an Airwave Media Podcast.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold! Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 up front for 3 months plus taxes and fees. Promo rate for new customers for limited time. Unlimited more than 40 gigabytes per month. Slows full terms at mintmobile.com.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Queen's Podcast. Today, in celebration of Pride Month, we are discussing Christina of Sweden. This is part 1 of 2, and we hope you enjoy. Oh, and in case you're new here, we curse a lot on this show. So if that's not your thing, this will not be the show for you. But if it is, I hope you enjoy. Cheers, bitches.
Hi, this is Katie.
And this is Nathan.
And you're listening to Queen's Podcast, the show about badass women in history.
Y'all have been asking for her
Forever.
for a hot minute now. So Nathan, who are we discussing?
Christina of Sweden.
What was that?
I don't know.
If you didn't catch it, it's Christina of Sweden.
Yeah.
And Nathan, tell us about this cocktail that you created.
So it's called the Swedish 60. So
Okay.
it's super interesting here.
Yeah.
It's basically like a mimosa in a way.
Okay.
So you take 1 part of aquavit. I said it.
Is that a liqueur? Aquavit?
So at Speck's liquor store, they sell it in the liqueur section, but it's actually like stronger than vodka, tequila.
Oh,
like,
shit.
yeah. So
What qualifies it as a liqueur? It doesn't matter.
it doesn't.
I'll look
No,
it up later. Okay.
I think Specs like did it incorrectly. It's a spirit.
Don't
not-
come out of specs.
Yeah, it's a spirit, not a liqueur. It's super duper strong.
Okay.
So be careful with this one. But it's 1 shot or 1 part of the aquavit,
Okay.
and then you do like a little squirt of wine,
Okay.
and you top it off with champagne.
I actually really like this one, Nathan.
Yeah, you put a little bit of sweetener in it, so there is like a half a shot of simple syrup, but long-time listeners will know that we both don't like
We're not
sugary.
Yeah.
So I did like a half a teaspoon of stevia with water, and if you do that, that's like a simple syrup. So it's a good sugar alternative.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ugh.
But let's start off with Christina.
Let's get into Christina. Yes.
So she was born on December 8th, 1626, Stockholm. So she's a
Sagittarius. You know what?
Love it.
I am a Sagittarius moon.
I am a Gemini, as most may know, but Geminis and Sagittarius get along.
Her parents, and I do want to preface something real quick. This first part, we are probably not going to talk so much about like her and her personality. It's going to be more about her and her upbringing.
Well, that gives you a preface to the personality.
So then in the second episode, we can speak more to her actions.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about a lot in this first part about her dad, who was King Gustav II, and his wife, Maria Eleonora of Brandenburg.
Yeah, Brandenburg is modern day Germany, basically, more or less. So she's Swedish and German.
Yes. As far as we can tell, her parents weren't like super related, which is unusual.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure they were cousins to some
everyone's
degree.
related.
Because what did we say in that one video? Like, if you're not fucking your cousins, are you even in the royalty? So they were probably related to a bit, but they weren't like double first cousins like Louis the 14th's parents or something.
But before Christina hits the scene, let's talk a little bit about the fam
Yeah.
and what's going on in Sweden.
Yeah.
So her dad, Gustav, super duper popular.
He was
king.
so popular.
He seems to be like kind of war dicky because throughout his entire time on the throne, he was almost always at war.
Almost like the entire time, pretty much.
Dicking with war.
Yeah.
But he's credited with making Sweden a political force at this time. And he's viewed in history as a good king.
Yeah, he seems to have had some progressive policies as well. So at the time, so we're looking at the early to mid 1600s, Sweden was super Lutheran. So when the young king was ready to get married, he started searching specifically for Protestant noblewomen to marry. And he landed on the beautiful Maria Eleonora of Brandenburg.
Yeah, and her mom was actually super duper against it.
It was this whole thing. Her mom was against it. Her brother was against it. Her whole family was against it. But she fell in love hard. Like hard. And basically...
Was it long and hard?
She felt, unfortunately for both of them, yes, she fell in love long and hard, and that's what she said. But what you need to know is that it was a lot of drama, and the two of them basically snuck off to get married in 1620.
Very Henry VIII of them.
It is.
Sneaking off to get married to a Protestant.
Yeah. Well, they were both already Protestant.
But at first, her parents seemed to be really happy in this
Yeah.
relationship. Everything's vibing. Mom didn't like cold weather in Sweden. She hated the Swedish language, but she loved her husband.
Everyone was like, okay, well, I guess you really don't need to learn Swedish to learn to speak to the people around you because they're all at court. They're all royals, and so they all speak French like you do as well. But also, like, maybe try to give the little bittiest fuck. You know?
The little
bittiest fuck. Yes. It seemed rude.
New
A
merch.
lot,
New
new merch. Why not try to give the little bittiest fuck? But no, a lot of people were like, she seems a little bit rude.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can totally get that. She's like, I don't want to do
But
that.
then they were like, but the king is happy. They seem to be in love.
Who cares?
Who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So she's big and pregnant, so she gets
Like,
pregnant.
right away.
Yeah, like, boom, she's knocked up. But King Gustav goes back to war dicking.
He lives most of his life at war.
Yeah, and while he's away, she gives birth to their child. First child, a daughter.
She has a stillborn daughter, and this changes Maria Eleonora's personality forever.
Forever.
Yes. Well, it's very sad.
I know. Any woman losing a child is
Anybody losing a
sad,
child.
yeah.
So she had always been a little bit particular and a little bit snobby and a little bit hoity-toity. And after she loses that first child, it gets a lot worse. Like, she just becomes so much more isolated and depressed.
as one would.
As one would. It's impossible to diagnose people from 500 years in the future.
Because we can't talk to him.
But it seems like most experts believe that she was probably suffering from some kind of postpartum depression.
She probably had some other mental illnesses sprinkled in.
She probably already had some... And we've also talked about, she was like a teenager when they got married, and we've talked about people in the past that it wasn't until a certain age that their mental illnesses kick in.
Well, that's true.
Caligula,
Even
Henry
today,
VIII, whatever. And so it's quite possible that she maybe already had some pre-existing conditions that were laying low, and then that, with the postpartum depression, just erupts
Exploded.
into a sadness volcano.
Sadness
volcano. Yes.
That's what I'm... But also, it's a lot of pressure to have a child.
Right.
And be a royal. Hello.
Right. So the thing is, if Gustav died without an heir, the next in line is his cousin, who is the king of Poland.
Wow, and Poland is just problematic.
They are at war with Poland right now. And they've been at war with Poland for like 25 years. So,
Under pressure.
yeah, it's not ideal to give the keys to the country to someone that you've been at war with for almost 30 years. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But Maria Eleonora got a little bit difficult. She got a little jealous.
After this, she just got mean.
Yeah, it seems like she just got sarcastic and like unrealistic, unpleasant. Like nobody wanted to be around her.
And she would start fights with her husband in public. And Gustav, he was a war dick, so I don't necessarily love that about him, but he honestly seems like a nice man.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was never going to yell back at her in public, So he would just take these public beatings from her, and he would just be like, "Sure, babe," and it just put their whole family in this horrible.
It's that awkward couple that you're around where somebody just like berates their spouse or loved one, and you're like, "Oh, poor dude."
You say
Stop.
that's like something that I don't have any friends that do that.
No, but I've seen it. I've seen it before.
well,
And
bless
it's like, stop.
That sounds horrible.
And her husband wasn't like flaunting affairs in front of her, wasn't like openly doing things like French kings do.
Yeah, so Mama's health didn't really improve over the years. Over the next 3 years, she had 2 more kids and another stillborn kid and another daughter who died before her first birthday.
She's feeling cursed. Like, she probably feels like she's a little bit cursed.
She's just feeling worse and worse. It doesn't help her depression, is what I'm getting at. Unsurprisingly, it makes her more depressed, yeah.
So until finally in 1626, she has a pregnancy, and it seems very healthy, and everyone is looking very optimistic at this point. They're like, oh, this is positive. Even the king at this point is like, oh, this is going to work. So he stayed home, didn't go back to his war-dicking ways.
Right.
Just hopes that all of this pregnancy and this birth is going to go A-okay.
Yes. So imagine Maria Eleonora's absolute relief when she was told in December 1626, after giving birth, girl, you had a baby boy.
Oh.
She was like, baby boy, you know my mind, fulfill my regency.
Yeah, she's ready for it.
She was ecstatic. I have given birth to a boy. Oh my God, tell the king now.
And the midwives run outside and are basically like, oh my God, you have a baby boy. Baby boy, you are my mind, fulfill my regency.
Exactly. We did it, Joe. We did it.
But it wasn't long after that they thought that it was a baby boy. And they're like,
Rewind.
It's not.
So, since this is a story about Christina of Sweden and not Christopher of Sweden,
yes,
you've probably already figured out the baby boy was not a baby boy. So, a couple of things. Here's some theories and like why. Why did they think it was a boy? One is that maybe the genitalia was ambiguous. I'm not a doctor, so I don't know what ambiguous genitalia means, but this happens to people sometimes.
yes.
So maybe that's what it was.
Being intersexed.
Yes, she was
is something
intersexed.
very common, but her body was exhumed much later, and they really couldn't tell, even then.
They were like, we don't think so, but like, how can you actually tell when it's skeletons? I don't know. From what I've read, the experts don't believe that she had intersex ambiguous genitalia. So another theory is that like maybe she was born with a thick amniotic sac around her, and the
midwives were like, it's a boy.
I just feel that one I don't buy, because like why wouldn't you break the sac and make sure?
But another theory was that she was like hairy. Mm-hmm. So she just had a full set of hair, like.
Well, no. So what I've read about this theory, that she was born very, very hairy, is that apparently a lot of babies are covered in hair, but they shed it right before they're born. So maybe she was born early.
This is gonna make me go down a scientific rabbit hole.
Do it. Do it, because I didn't.
Oh,
yes.
no.
Yes. So she was born hairy, and she had a really, really like low scream. Like her cry sounded more like a boy, which I don't know how you tell at that point.
Yeah, there's a sexism. Yay.
And so they just assumed, oh, this hairy baby must be a boy. And that's actually the theory that's most accepted.
IDK. But news breaks to the queen. She now is like, didn't have a baby boy. It's a baby girl. So she's distraught.
Yeah. She was so mean to her child. She was like, my husband's going to hate me. Take her away. This is the worst news ever. I'm not telling the king. Someone else has to.
And no one wanted to tell the king at this point. just assuming that he was going to be pissed off. Because,
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
let's be real. Most of the kings that we've researched would be pissed
They
off.
would be pissed off, right?
And the king had a sister named Catherine that he had a really good relationship with.
I actually really love Catherine of Sweden.
So it appears that his sister, Catherine, was the only person with balls to tell her brother, like, the truth of it
Like,
all.
look at this. Yeah.
Hey, it's not a boy. This is a girl.
So apparently what she did is that she took the baby a day or two after the birth and brought her to the king, and like didn't say any words, just unwrapped the blanket around the baby and just showed him like, look, there's no penis. Look, surprise! It's a girl.
So fucking patriarchy, though.
Yeah,
Like-
but let's talk about Gustav's response to it. Like, after he saw that he had a daughter after thinking he had a son, people were like, should we call off all the parties? And he was like, no.
I love this about him, though.
I know.
He was maybe upset for like a hot
A
minute
second.
because people lied to him.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, well, not lied, but maybe they were misinformed.
Yeah. So he thought one thing and then another thing happened. And when he finally was like, look, you have a daughter, apparently what he said is, she's tricked us all. She's going to be really clever.
I love this about him.
That is so refreshing that he was just like, well, this is my daughter. She seems smart from the get-go. Let's prepare her to rule the country.
Cheers to supportive fathers.
I love it. I love it. Hey Queens, it's Katie. Are you tired of hormone-related struggles messing up your day? Meet Hormone Harmony. Whether it's mood swings, bloating, or just kind of feeling off, Hormone Harmony has you covered. Okay, but what is it? Hormone Harmony is a formula developed by Happy Mammoth, a supplement company dedicated to making women's lives easier. Hormone Harmony contains science-backed herbal extracts called adaptogens. Now, here's the beauty about adaptogens. They help the body adapt to any stressors, like chaotic hormonal changes that happen naturally throughout a woman's life. Picture waking up rejuvenated, breezing through your day without energy slumps, and waving goodbye to pesky PMS symptoms. Happy Mammoth has so many really cool products. I've actually just placed an order for a bottle of their deep sleep mode, so I'll let you know how that works later. So, want to go on this journey with me? For a limited time, you can get 15% off on your entire order at happymammoth.com with the code QUEENS at checkout. That's happymammoth.com with the code QUEENS.
Look, Bumble knows you're exhausted by dating. All the must not take yourself too seriously and 6'1" since that matters. And what do I even say other than hey? Well, that's why they're introducing an all-new Bumble with exciting features to make compatibility easier, starting the chat better, and dating safer. They've changed, so you don't have to. Download the new Bumble now.
So, Christina's birth really seemed to be the deterioration of their relationship.
Of her parents' relationship. Yeah.
It was
yeah,
not
yeah.
good. So, while he's excited, there's not really hands-on parenting situations going on.
Yeah.
Her mother just resents her, and it's just this bad look.
So her mother may have tried to kill her once or twice.
I like how you started that with the sing-songy voice. Like,
May have. Let's keep it light about some maybe child murder. Let's rewind a little bit. So now that her mother has given birth to a child that the king has decided, this is my heir. I don't care if it's a boy, girl. This is my heir. Her mother was not being touched. The king was done with their physical relationship side of it.
Oof.
And so her mother may have felt a little bit like disappointed, like, no, I can still give you a son. You just have to come back to my bed. And a lot of weird things happened in Christina's life that may indicate that her mother was trying to kill her.
Yeah, she may have dropped her two times too many.
Two or three times. There was one time when she was laying in a bassinet
and a beam from the ceiling fell on her bassinet.
Oh.
She fell down the stairs when she was a child.
That seems like an abusive statement.
So there's at least
she just fell down the
There's
stairs.
at least 4 times where Christina was severely hurt as a child and that she survived. However, she did develop, when she fell down the stairs, her collarbone broke and it didn't heal right because we don't.
Science
Wasn't a thing then. Yeah.
She was had a hunchback-ish.
Yeah. The way that it healed, because modern doctors didn't know how to treat that, yeah, she was a little bit crooked.
We don't know if mom was like purposely trying to kill her or not, but that's the rumor. And that's what a lot of people believe at this point.
And her mother was unwell. She was not a mentally stable person. On one hand, I do feel really bad for her mother, because I feel bad for anybody that has mental instabilities and doesn't have the support system to get you through that. But on the other hand, spoiler alert, this is a reoccurring situation in their relationship.
Yeah, because despite her mother hating her, her dad loved her.
Well, good. Somebody good.
That's
good. Somebody did. Yeah.
5 O's. Loved
her.
Her dad was like obsessed with her. He was gonna make her the best ruler. He was gonna go do military drills with her, get everything on point. This is like giving me Amina vibes.
It's giving me a little bit of Amina vibes. Yeah.
But Gustav was always at war, so he was like, there's a good chance I might make it to ye old age.
Probably not going to be an old man, so let's make sure my heir, which is my daughter, is ready to become king in the future.
King in the future.
Christina was so educated. So Gustav was like, you know, that whole education plan that we had for my son? Well, my son's apparently not coming. Let's do it for my daughter. And basically everybody was like, are you sure? And he was like, educate her like she was a boy. Which means that this girl, she is probably, of all the women we've talked about on this show, probably has the best education of all of them.
I love it.
She spoke Swedish, German, French, Italian, Arabic, and Hebrew at least. Probably a couple more languages on top of that.
It's giving me like Cleopatra vibes.
Yes!
Like, you gotta learn the language to speak the language.
Exactly!
Yes. So a lot of royal women at the time, we discussed, you know, they learned how to sew, to dance, play the flute.
Yeah.
Something like that. Not our girl Tina. She learned how to bear hunt. That's what I do on Saturday nights.
Okay.
She learned how to fence. She learned all about war dicking.
Yes.
She was forced to take ballet lessons. So
to try to help her with her crooked shoulder.
That's not her fault.
It's not her fault. They tried to get, but I see like.
I'm sorry, Mom, that you dropped me.
I'm sorry, Mom, that you tried to kill me and it didn't work. She hated it.
But she was taught religious studies, though.
Yeah.
Every single chick that we talked about usually
religious studies
indoctrinated with something.
But like we've already said, she was meant to be 100% Lutheran.
Yeah.
Like, we are a Protestant country. You are a Protestant queen. Like, lean into this. Also remember that at this time, separation of church and state wasn't a thing.
Yeah,
like,
that wasn't until the Americas that became a thing.
Still barely a thing. But at this time, Europe is really wrapped up in this thing called the 30 Years' War. And unlike the 100 Years' War, which was actually 114 years, this one was actually only 30 years.
Thank you for staying on brand.
But it caused the loss of 4 million lives.
That's not good.
That's way too many people.
Yeah.
The 30 Years' War was a war of religion, and Sweden was a major player in it on the side of Protestantism.
So what we're getting at is her religious beliefs would be very, very anti-Catholic. Super. We don't like the...
We don't like the Pope. We're very anti the Pope.
So, something that is going on is going to be a very steady pattern that we're going to see throughout part 1 and part 2. She, like, if you tell her she isn't supposed to be or do something, she's going to do it anyway.
If you're like, we don't like Catholics, she's like, let me be Catholic. But put a pin in that. Spoiler alert. Put a pin in that. Don't tell Christina not to do something, because that's exactly what she's going to want to do.
Since Dad was off at war so much and Mom was maybe trying to, like, casually kill her, Christina was put in the care of her Auntie Catherine, who was really, really smart.
A really cool lady. Catherine really treated Christina like a daughter. So Christina was raised alongside Catherine's children at court. So when her mom wasn't trying to kill her, she was living a pretty blessed life.
As one would.
As one does.
They're not being killed by their
mother. And like, her dad would send her gifts, and like, she was just living a really, really great life.
Hashtag blessed. So in 1630, her mom was given leave to go back to Germany when Gustav was at war, which
was always.
Yeah.
He was always at war.
Yeah.
So cool for her. She got to go stay back with her family and not, try to murder her daughter.
So sadly, in 1632, her dad died in battle.
Yeah.
And it's wild because after the War of the Roses, we don't really hear about kings dying in battle.
I mean, how many of these shows have we done? And like, when a king dies in battle, it's like ancient.
Yeah. The country mourned whenever the king died. Like,
oh my God, yes.
It is like, he was called the Lion of the North. Again, Game of Thrones vibe.
Love it.
King of the North.
Love it.
Wolf of the North. Like, feeling this a fantasy.
I also read another thing that during his time, like right before he died, or maybe like right after he died, when everyone was like talking about how great he was, they called Stockholm the Athens of the North. Oh. Because he had left such a huge footprint. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I love this. What we're getting at is he was very popular.
He was very popular.
And in his will, left no uncertainty about who his heir was, which...
Christina.
Thank you. Finally.
Yeah. As my heir, there are no ifs and buts about it. I don't give a shit if she's a girl. This is my heir.
Yeah.
So in his will, he sets up a Regency council, and he left a note being like, okay, yo, look,
this is an official statement.
Official statement. He's like, guys, look, I know usually the queen is part of the Regency council if a child is left to be king, but y'all can't give her any power. She can't,
and his wife can't handle being a regent.
Well, that's what he's saying. She is not well. Don't let her do it. Plus, bye. But plus bye. And he's not wrong, though.
Yeah.
At all of 6 years old, the new Queen Christina goes out to meet the ship that's bringing her beloved father and her mother home. Mom has already had Dad's body embalmed.
Oh.
So they're thinking, we're going to have a funeral pretty soon. Also, she had his heart removed and put in a tiny coffin that she would just keep in her bag.
I got hot sauce in my bag. Swag.
She does. She's got heart
sauce in her bag. Swag. So, upon arriving back to Stockholm, Christina's mom is obsessed with her now.
Oh, she's like, you're the only thing left of my husband. It was a really, really weird form of grieving. No, I don't mean to say weird, but you know what I mean. Like, an unconventional form of grieving where now she was like, this child that I've maybe tried to kill, allegedly, I am super into,
This is not awkward at all. Maybe a little. So she gives her some alone time with her daughter.
Yeah.
And then after the funeral, we'll just get back to those matters of state.
Right.
And prepping her to be a good ruler. And another name that you may need to know out of all this story is Chancellor Axel Augustin.
So basically, until Christina reaches adulthood, this Axel guy is the guy that's like running the show in Sweden.
Yeah, we're just gonna call him Axel from now on. Queen Maria Eleonora goes to Axel and is like, what's my role in Christina's regency? Like, what is this gonna look like?
Right.
And Axel's like, oh, honey, no. We don't do that in Sweden. Mothers aren't allowed to be in the Regency Council, which is a big fat lie.
It was a huge lie because King Gustav, Christina's dad, became king when he was 13. And his mother was a huge part in the Regency. But because of Maria Eleonora's way her brain worked, they were like, no, women don't get to be part of the Regency. And she just said, okay. And like, never questioned it. And they just all kind of moved. And honestly, I think it was kind of a good call.
Yeah. And Maria Eleonora took her daughter into seclusion with her. And she was like, okay, girl, we're grieving.
We're grieving now.
This is a look.
We're about to grieve.
We're about to put on some black.
We're about to grieve. Yes, absolutely. Your dad's here. We're grieving. Excuse me, what? What do you mean my dad's here?
I know. Mama Christina had like dad's embalmed body in her room for 18 months.
18 months!
Uh,
A year and a half!
I'm walking into her room thinking I'm gonna get a booty call, and I'm like, what's that smell?
No, I can't imagine. It was nice. And every morning she would make Christina kiss her dad. Good morning. And every night she would make Christina kiss her dad good night.
I can't fucking do it.
What the actual fuck? This family, can you imagine this family in modern day therapy? Like,
that's horrible. Like,
also, Christina's whole life was put on hold for a year.
Yeah.
A year and a half.
Oh, it's terrible.
I
cannot describe to you what Katie's face looks like right now.
Your life for a year and a half is just hanging out with your dead dad and a mother, and then like you're even trying to tell your mother like, hey, maybe we should bury him. Maybe we should move on. And she's just like, that just seems horrible, so bad.
Mama had said that she would be buried when her husband was. So wait.
So are they thinking that like she's gonna smoosh it? You know, like what?
And I guess that after like 18 months, Axel came to her and was like, look,
I'm sorry to inform you, it looks like you're not about to die.
So we need to bury this dead corpse that's been in your room for 18 months.
All right.
This story is so wild.
It's so ugly.
So you need to bury the king.
We need to move on with our life.
Right. So, okay. Life is going back to normal. So let's take a quick break.
I think this is a good time for a quick little break. We're going to top off our drinks and we'll see y'all in a minute.
Hello everyone, Stakuyi here.
And I'm Gabby.
And we are the hosts of History of Everything, a podcast which you can probably guess by the name is, well, I mean, it's about everything. Do you want to know why people thought potatoes were evil and would give you syphilis? Are you curious about all the stories of the terrible and stupid ways that people have kicked the bucket over the years? Do you want to hear tales about all of the different badasses of history and the lives that they had brought to life? Well, if so, then look no further. History of Everything is just the right podcast for you. It's available on Spotify, Pandora, and anywhere else that you get your podcast from. Join us for some fun and just see how weird and wacky history can be.
Hey y'all, spooky season is here. And if you're looking for a show to whet your appetite for a little haunted history, then I'd like to invite you to check out Southern Gothic, a chart-topping history podcast that explores some of the most infamous legends, folklore, ghost stories, and hauntings of the American South. We've covered all sorts of stuff from the Bell Witch of Tennessee to the disappearance of the Confederate submarine, the H.L. Hunley, not to mention our deep dives into the local lore of some of America's oldest and most haunted cities, like New Orleans, Charleston, and St. Augustine. So, if you're ready for a little good old-fashioned Halloween storytelling with a commitment to quality historical research, then be sure to check out Southern Gothic today. It's available now on all your favorite podcast apps.
And we're back.
And this is
Xtina's life. Absolutely.
Axel had Mama removed from all of the royal residence.
I mean, do you blame?
No. She's unhinged.
Yeah.
Like, she's starting shit where there is no shit. I think that's a quote from a famous rapper.
I'm pretty sure it's a quote from Axel. Like, she was starting shit where there was no shit. Let's throw her the fuck out.
Oh, ouch.
But they didn't exactly throw her out on the streets. I mean, she had, like, this whole other castle she was given with her German ladies in waiting.
Throw me out anytime if you're going to give me that cushion.
Right? And it was like, you're welcome to come back and visit your daughter by invitation only. And spoiler alert, Christina didn't invite her around all that much.
She doesn't even
Do
go
you
here.
blame her?
No.
You
So, Christina went back into the care of her aunt, Catherine, who she loved. and adored.
Yeah.
Like, for a year or so, her life went back to normal, back to how it used to be before Dad died, until, sadly, Auntie Catherine died herself, and Catherine was shooketh. Because now she basically doesn't have a parental figure in her life.
Oh.
She doesn't have a role model, if you will.
Oh, yeah. Axel is like, okay, we're going to set up this new system. He basically put in place like 3 or 4 royal families or families within the Swedish nobility that Christina would go back and forth between. It was like, you'd spend 2 months here, 2 months here, 2 months here. And so it was meant to be like, you never grew an over-attachment to anybody.
Yeah.
And you never favored any noble family over the other ones either, which I feel like has its ups and downs. Like, you're never going to grow an attachment. That's kind of probably bad.
Yeah, but just like all noble women of the time, Christina was told from a really young age, gotta get married, gotta have babies.
Gotta have them babies. Number one
Sorry.
job. And at this time, she is also like 8. #babies don't need jobs.
No, babies don't need jobs.
They really, really don't.
They need to be babying.
They need to just be babies.
And what have we really learned about Christina? If you tell her she has to do something, she's
gonna do the opposite.
Yep, not gonna.
Not gonna. You gotta do this one thing.
Put a
Bitch,
pin in
watch
it.
me not. Yep.
Put a pin in it. I think this is a recurring theme. So Christina is kind of a tomboy now.
Yeah.
Yeah, she despises everything that's feminine. She likes to wear pants. She doesn't care about fashion. And I love this rebellion for her.
I do too, but at the same time, it seems like she was a little bit misogynistic. She was like, I hate everything feminine.
She doesn't like dancing. She doesn't like hanging out with girls. She doesn't ride her horse side saddle.
Yeah.
So she's literally happy just hanging out with the bros. That's her vibe.
They also say she wasn't very pretty. She had a big, yeah, right, exactly. She had a big nose. She had wild hair.
And she's got bad posture, but
maybe it's because her mother dropped her down some stairs.
on purpose.
Quite possibly, allegedly.
She wasn't into like grooming
Yeah.
or making herself up, but she's a queen. So she's got to get men lining up.
They still
to see
are.
her.
There's still men, eligible bachelors from all over the planet are still lining up to marry her for sure.
So Christina had a role model that we both possibly have, and her name is Queen Elizabeth I.
Yes! She looked at Queen Elizabeth of England and was like, she never married. She never let a man tell her what she was going to do. And it's quite possible from an early age, she looked at Queen Elizabeth and was like, this is what I'm going to do.
Yes.
You know?
Remember, she's supposed to hate Catholics at this point. So she's really into the idea of celibacy that, Catholics preach on their nuns and their priests and all of that. When she was a teenager, she famously said that she didn't want to be a quote-unquote field for a man to plow.
I mean, that certainly sets a tone, doesn't it?
Yeah.
She's like, I don't want to...
Very clear picture.
She does not want to be submissive to a man.
But, I mean, girl,
ever.
same.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to sit back here and be like, what?
Well, maybe she was afraid of childbirth, which could you blame her?
9-pound watermelon forced out of your vagina. No,
Even now, childbirth seems scary, but back then, like, you might die for real.
Yeah, right? Okay. So, let's fast forward a little bit. And we're at war. And by we, I mean Sweden. We're at war with Denmark.
Right.
And it's like a super serial war.
Right.
And it's expensive. Like, that shit costs money.
Money.
So it seemed that it was going to be in poor taste to have this big, expensive coronation. At the same time, you're having this big, expensive war. So, I mean, it makes sense. Like, men are dying out there. Maybe you should scale back a little bit.
Right.
So, I'm not mad at it. Like, seriously, not mad. But this was also a way for the men of the Regency to hold power.
Yeah, it was like, oh, we have to postpone your coronation, and now, just hold back. You're fine.
6 years.
6 years.
6 years she held back.
6 years that she had to be like, I'm in my majority. And they're like, no, but you can't be queen yet. LOL. Chill.
Like, she didn't have autonomy that she should have.
Right.
Until she reached 18.
Right.
Which, I mean, I'm legally responsible for things that I do after I'm 18.
How annoying.
So, she took on more responsibilities after this. So, Axel realized that, oh shit, Christina and I, very different views.
Oh, yes. The two of them were completely different. Christina was like, hey, we've got all this land that the nobility owns, but they don't, pay taxes on it. And he was like, yeah, no, that's fine. And she was like, and maybe that's hot take. Maybe that's not fine. And they started having these headbutts because of that,
Oh no. Peasants and nobles pay taxes?
Peasants should only pay their fair share and nobles should pay more because they make more money? No!
I hate you, capitalism.
You know what? I think Christina would do just fine on TikTok today.
Hot take. So also, Christina's like, y'all, this 30 years war thing,
it's dumb.
Kind of lame.
Why are we still doing this?
And the whole council was like, okay.
Okay, girl.
The Holy Roman Emperor, it's a state of mind.
It's who they were fighting. Yeah.
A state of mind.
State of mind.
He's the fucking worst. He's garbage people.
Yes.
He just wants to keep fighting. So, of course, she's like, okay, you hate the Holy Roman Emperor? I love him. He's such a good guy.
Anytime someone's like, Christina, you have to go against this thing, she's like, you know what? Actually, that is my favorite thing.
She's a few of my favorite things.
Yes.
When the dog bites, when the bee stings. So she secretly sends an envoy to talk to the Emperor, Holy Roman
Emperor,
kind,
to be like, hey, let's make peace. And when Axel found out about it, he was pissed.
That's an understatement.
Do you blame him for me? I mean, honestly, if like someone that you're working with goes behind your back and you find out, you're gonna be pissed. But I think she was just like, I want to end the war. We don't want any more war. Let's end it. But yeah, Axel was pissed as hell.
And I mean, Christina's like, you can't postpone my coronation.
Right.
Forever.
She's like, you're pissed? Fine. I don't fucking care. Yeah. It was very much I'm going to do what I'm going to do situation.
Yeah, and then she ended up appointing a peasant as her fucking...
Whenever she sends an envoy to go talk to the Holy Roman Emperor about imposing peace, it was a peasant. And then when he came back home, she gave him...
Ye old peasant.
You old non-peasant, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Presents?
Presents for the peasants.
Presents for the peasants. Gifts, gives him land, gives him money. The whole council is nervous that she wants to set up a council that likes poor people. How dare she?
Yes. The lion, the witch, and the audacity.
Yes.
Like, seriously, she's hell-bent on ending this 30 Years' War.
She wants it done.
Yeah, she's ready for peace. Like, she wanted that. She wanted her coronation.
Yeah.
Coronation Station. But either way, the war that killed her father was done.
It was done, yeah.
Cut off. It's done. Like, my dad died. This is cool.
I don't think she gets enough recognition for ending the 30-Year War.
It wasn't just politics, though, that was on Christina's mind. In Christina's memoirs, if you're nasty, she really only mentioned women when she's comparing herself.
She's a bit of a misogynist, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
She's always like, oh, women are so dumb. And the only time she ever talks about women in her memoirs is if she's comparing, like, women are stupid and I do it this way and they do it this way and my way is so better. You know what I mean?
Cool.
Cool.
But in 1644, she met a girl. A noble family sent their 15-year-old daughter, which...
It's young. It's young.
This has been very problematic. But they send their daughter to be a lady-in-waiting. And her name was Eba Spear.
Like, everyone at court was like, oh, fuck, this 15-year-old is so fucking hot.
That's so weird.
Because history is gross.
Right.
And back then, it was okay to talk about teenagers that way, I guess.
It's terrible. Don't quote me.
Christina and Ebba had a relationship that is still debated to this day.
They are 1 billion% lovers.
I think they were definitely lovers. That's Queen's podcast. Official statement is that we think they were lovers. A lot of people have speculation one way or the other. Letters between the two survive that feel like love letters, you know?
I mean, we've talked about this though, like in history, like they use very flower in my heart long.
Women have always throughout history sent each other very lovely love letters, which I also get. Lovely love letter, which I get. Like, I feel like if I was writing my best friend a letter, maybe I would be like, oh, you're so beautiful. Just because that's how we talk to each other. You know, whatever. But this was a little bit extra stepping.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And then extra stepping, I mean, she called her bedfellow.
Okay. So back then, but in this time in the world, there was a thing going on called the Little Ice Age.
So like global warming.
Yes. Everything was much colder. And so just about everybody you didn't everyone shared a bed because of
that's
warmth,
what happens in
body
my
warmth.
household.
Oh, okay, Nathan. But no, because of body warmth. So they're going to share a bed because of that. But their relationship took a step beyond that, in my opinion. So yeah, she would introduce people like, this is my bedfellow. This is the person I share a bed with. She keeps my bed warm. But then there were also stories where she would be like, isn't she beautiful? You should see her body.
So no doubt.
I talk about how beautiful my friends are all the time. My female friends.
Say that again, Kitty.
I talk about how beautiful my friends are all the time. Okay. But there's very few accounts like where I'd be like, but look at that ass. You know, like.
But you have friends that you would
say you're beautiful, but
you're hot.
Taking it to the next point of like, but look at her body seems a little bit
extra.
Something else was going on there, and that's my 2 cents.
Did you call
on
me
their
extra?
relationship?
No, I call myself extra.
Yes.
So that's facts are facts.
That is my 2 cents on this relationship. So let's wrap up this episode because we've got a whole second episode where we're going to talk about so many more things that went on in her life.
I know.
So she's making political moves.
Yes.
She's got a girlfriend.
She's making money moves.
Money moves.
And in 1650, she finally has her coronation.
Yes. All right. So we're going to end that here. And next week, we'll pick up on this.
So let's cheers.
Cheers, bitches.
It had a really nice ring to it.
It had it. It like did it like reverberated. Yeah.